This is Tennis Elbow 4. We're here on Xbox Series X. Be sure to like the video. Subscribing is great as well. So this game is genuinely impressive. It really is. There's a lot under the table here and a lot to go over with this one. I really am genuinely impressed, especially coming off of TopSpin, which is quite interesting. So this game is considered they literally say it in the title, like the best tennis simulator out there, or the most realistic, or, well, the one that captures the game the best. Yeah, they literally, and I quote, most realistic tennis simulator ever. And you're like, oh, that's, maybe sounds a little silly, blah, 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 but like when you get into it, you're like, wow, there is a lot going on in this game. Like, there's a lot to it, even on console, which is genuinely kind of impressive. So there's quite a lot to chat about. I just want to say first, though, if you're looking at the presentation and you're kind of like, oh, it looks so visually, look a little deeper here, because we've got actually pretty detailed character models that kind of move around in a decently realistic way. The main area of these, I guess you would say, courts and or areas are pretty detailed, and there is a ton of them. The crowds could look a little more, I guess you would say, realistic, or have more movement to them, but honestly, at the end of the day, that really doesn't matter as much as the game itself being really effective. So let's dive in and let's take a look at what we're getting here. So this game, it's 4K resolution at 60 FPS, but you can go so much further, and this game might actually take the crown as the most detailed graphical option game we have on console. There's only a few that go to this level, so you could choose between 4K or 1080p, and then you can choose 4 frame rate options. So you could do 30, 40, 24, and 60 hertz options. And no, changing it to 1080 doesn't allow you to go to 120. I did try that because I thought that might be neat. And then you can choose your exposure levels, your overall presets. Do you want high quality? But you can choose everything. Do you want your shadows? How good do you want your shadows to look? Player level detail, your how the stadiums are impacted for shadows. It's kind of amazing. And then you can just click the preset quality thing there. And then you can click advanced options if you want to go further, and you can adjust how split screen's done, because you can actually have up to 4 players locally, 2 players online, and pretty cool, right? Yeah. Crowd density. It turns off 3D Stadium, uses an image as a background. Saves CPU and GPU resources, but this isn't a set of options that we normally get. I guess you would say in games, especially on console. On PC, this is all pretty basic stuff, right? If that makes sense, but it is kind of neat to actually see this available in this type of a game on consoles. It was really quite cool. So there's a lot going on here in terms of how you play this, your moves. But then there's also just a ton of other options that you can enjoy within... What is going on there? within the menus and whatnot. So I would say when you're playing this one, I would actually recommend going to the options and turning on the full scene aliasing. Just at least we'll do MSSA. So I have noticed that when you are playing this game, there's occasionally a not a stuttering, but when you are changing sides or something, there might be a little bit of a performance drop. What are you doing with the ball hit there? So that might be a thing, but it doesn't impact gameplay, and it's just literally a shifting of the characters is slightly awkward. So I think that's more of an animation thing than it is a performance thing, personally. But yeah, you might enjoy some aliasing choices just to make it look a little sharper, because there are some jaggedy spots off the I guess, out of the box, as to say, in terms of going in and playing this. But there's a lot more to this game as well. I just kind of want to show off a bit of the gameplay so you can see that in action before giving up. So we get a great replay system. And if we give up here, I guess we can... we don't need to continue later. So we're going to back out. We're going to give them the win. Doesn't matter. So there's a lot of ways to play. So in the main menu, we got a world tour, which is really, really quite in-depth. Full career, seasons, unique tournaments. Recordings of the matches you've made and played. There's mod support, so that you can download mods to take the experience even further. And again, I can't even emphasize how, I guess you would say, like, few games actually support mods on console. Particularly, you know, it's just something we don't see a lot of. Like, we see it here or there, kind of sprinkled in, but it is so cool to actually have mod support like this available. And, you know, there's kind of a bit of a limited selection here, but you get some mods, which is really, really neat. So you can enhance some of the visuals and stuff like that, and there's collection options. It's really, really quite cool to have that available. And then there's the tennis school, which probably helps quite a bit, but I mean, who's got time for that? And then your training club too. You do warm-ups, quick matches, service training, there's a ball thrower, there's your online options, and then there's character sheets too, so you can actually like enhance like your characters, and you've got like 4 different kind of preset options, and yeah, it's kind of interesting. It's really, really genuinely quite cool. Save player, change, like, yeah, all kinds of different stuff in terms of like customizing how you look and your style and your everything like that. It's, as I said, there is a lot to this game. Here you can just like singles, 2 against 1, doubles, you know, you have your sets. There's like I said, a ton of different stadiums for you to play on. Great selection here. You can go to Rome, Monte Carlo, Montreal, the Australian Slam. So I was doing the beach house, was kind of fun, but we'll do I don't know, Rome. That'd be exciting. So yeah, just kind of a big selection of options for playing and enjoying this game. Like, it really genuinely is impressive. Like, it simulates the sport really effectively. Wow, I didn't even go after that. That's bad on my side. And there is a lot to kind of the hits and stuff, if that makes sense. I love kind of the weird wackiness of some of the ball physics sometimes on this. It's really, really quite cool. I do find it a little bit more technical, a little harder to kind of get, I guess you would say, some of those ball hits off, since you do need to carry through with how, it's kind of how you hit stuff, so it's a little harder to line things up, I've noticed, in comparison to something like TopSpin that's like a little smoother. And the funny thing too for TopSpin is I thought that one was like really quite technical, and I think this one is a little bit more technical in how you play and how you move, but that's all worth it for, like, I guess you would say, the more under the hood hidden kind of additions and tweaks and stuff on this one. Is really, really cool. So a bunch of different ways to hit the ball. Wow, that was really bad. And it's got all this like nuances and stuff, and numerous difficulty choices in terms of how you play and interact with this one. Like I said, it's actually got a lot going on. And I was sort of just sitting there, I was like, tennis elbow. I was like, what is this game? I wasn't really sure about it when it popped up in the email, and then I was like, oh, okay. Tennis elbow, interesting. Because yeah, we were literally just playing TopSpin, which strangely, I think is a little, accessibility-wise, a little bit more almost vanilla, even though TopSpin's supposed to be like a really true to tennis kind of tennis experience. But yeah, no, this one, I think if you're, I guess you would say, a bit of a tennis enthusiast, this one has a lot going on up for it, right? Seriously, I am impressed by this game. And the career mode has a lot to it. And then I was kind of reading up too, I guess some of the mods, you could take that even further. And they've got all kinds of stuff where you can end up doing like Olympics, and you can do, you know, you can have that all like an actual career of tennis, like the real full thing if you wanted. And I think that in itself is pretty cool. And this one, I guess it really focuses on like recalled ball mechanics, strikes, and physics, and also, the realism of tennis rallies. Trying to have that sort of back and forth heated stuff. And I think different people have different opinions on like the aesthetics of this game. But, you know, keeping in mind it's like an indie thing, I think it does actually look really good. And you can see like little muscle details and stuff on the characters. The shadows are well done. The environment's really sharp. Yeah, I think this looks really good for the type of game this is. I kind of genuinely find this impressive. I think there's a lot going on here, especially if you learn it and you play better than I play. It's just a little neater. I also find it a little easier. I don't know, positioning, I find it harder to get into positioning, but I find it a little easier than topspin to kind of like send that ball back, or sort of send it where I want it to send. That makes sense. Alright, here we go. And the score and everything is kept track of properly, and yeah, it's a neat game. Like, it actually is. I think it captures it quite well. I do think, well, the sport of tennis, that is. I do think that they could do a little bit more with the crowds, just in terms of, like, some more movement and stuff, but I do get that it's more about the court itself. So that's what I find is a lot of, like, sports games, expectations have grown, you know, so much for what a sports game is, like, supposed to have and be. And I find that they get more and more technical the older they get. But when you're sort of starting out, and I know that sounds really weird because I know the series has been around for a long time. I mean, you don't get to like the fourth, number 4, right, without having a few different options. But what I'm really trying to note is just the idea of like, as some of these series like kind of mature, they focus more and more on the smaller decorative details, and the crowd elements aren't really that much of a thing. But for me, they stick out when I'm looking at certain games. Oh, that was bad. Anyways, sharp eyes, quick reflexes, good moves. That's what matters when you're out here trying to win. But if you seriously do want a good simulation of tennis, this is a really, really good option. I think it really does hit the mark. And like, I don't necessarily assume or think I'm really like amazing or anything at this, but it's kind of cool to have a tennis game that kind of came out of nowhere and really surprised me, because I'm assuming most probably don't have this on their radar for a game. And then I was just kind of like, oh, okay, where did you come from? What do you have to offer? Because it is a little, like, I know it's like a season right now for tennis and stuff, but it is a little bold to basically be here right after TopSpin. Like, if you were an indie title, you kind of would maybe want to go before it, because, and I mean, development doesn't always allow you to do that, like ports and stuff. But you think you would try to get ahead of TopSpin. And I guess if you're watching this way later, it doesn't really matter, but usually you want to position yourself for the best offerings, because a lot of people probably will have grabbed TopSpin looking for a nice tennis game, and then their budget and stuff isn't going to be as good to grab other ones. But seriously, this is a more than fine competitor here. I hope I'm just kind of showing it off decently too.
There has been a lot of staccato tennis like this,
because I know there's a lot of like little other smaller intricacies in this one, but do want to present it well. Was that out? There we go. And I just love that there's like a bit more randomness to this as well, just in terms of like the ball. Like, it's neat to see the AI kind of messing up and not being like flawlessly perfect.
Which way is this match heading?
I don't know where this match is headed.
Missed it.
15 love. Let's go. So yeah, I guess it's supposed to be, I think they claim
That's out.
that what do they kind of go for? Intuitive learning curve, but exceptional gameplay depth. I think that's what I'm kind of getting a feeling of here. One of those titles where you're kind of
Away
like,
it goes.
you know, if they had a little bit more of a larger company injection into it, they could probably get like a really fine-tuned high tier kind of game going. But at the same time, not saying this isn't high tier, but you know what I mean, like a little bit of a
Still just
budgetary
one way to
injection,
serve
because
that
they did that
separates these
with
two
was
players.
it Super Mega Baseball? EA grabbed them, which is either a good thing or a bad thing depending on your perspective. But because you can kind of see there and be like how that could elevate this
What
perfect
shot
little
making we are
super
seeing
detailed
right
intricate
now.
package into like top tier sports things. But
Sloppy
I think if you're a
service.
tennis fan, this one is really, really cool and really neat. Has a lot of game modes. I think I kind of showcased it decently well. And at this point, I'll just leave you with a little bit of non-commentary gameplay, just so that you can get, you know, feel for it in action.
Another error. She got trapped in no man's land there. Didn't know whether to come forward or stay back. That is ugly.
30.
No.
Deuce.
Good response.
Advantage service.
Oh,
Game player 2.
she's made it.
Love 15.
Very poor.
Love 30.
The tension is absolutely delicious
Love
right now.
40.
Horrendous.
15, 40. First service.
First serve again. That was
30,
agricultural.
40.
More of a sigh than a ground stroke. What happened there?
Game
Must have gotten
player
his
2.
grip messed up or something like that. She's a top 10 player for a reason.
15.
And she's
Love.
just showed us some more evidence there. That for me is the
15
shot she's
over.
just not hitting well enough in this match. Yet another error today.
30.